So anyway, we get to Banjo Tooie, and Gruntilda and her and her Hocus Pocus sisters show up, and they free her from the boulder. But Gruntilda's like rotted away, and she's a skeleton. Somehow she's not dead.
Well, she's a witch, so she's probably
she's a witch. I guess
probably
she
like
has,
a necromancer, and she became a lich.
Oh yeah, that could be. And she's like the Lich Queen.
Yeah,
I don't know. She's the Lich Lady, not to be confused with the Lunch Lady.
Oh God,
who could also be a lich.
That's true.
But she doesn't float in water, but then therefore a witch. Now reduced to a skeleton, I'm reading from the Wikipedia. Gruntilda plans to drain the life energy from the entirety of the game's hub's world, the ILO Hags, Irish town, to restore herself to normal, leaving Banjo and Kazooie to stop her plans. I thought she took Tootie again. Doesn't she take?
I don't know. I didn't play Banjo Tooie, so I don't remember.
I thought she takes the sister Tootie again. I don't think that she tries to sap the energy from the hub world. I could be wrong, but I thought it's the same song and dance. She steals Tootie again.
Well, I mean, the point of her stealing Tootie in the first one was because she wanted to
beauty.
steal Tootie. It was like an Elizabeth Bathory thing going on there. I mean,
yeah.
Like bathe in the blood of Tootie to
God.
become young.
Well, I mean, the game's rated E, so they could only do so much.
Well, if you get the game over screen, you see what happens. Like, they put her in some kind of weird, like, transfer, like, machine.
Yeah,
and,
they do.
Like, Tootie becomes, like, an ugly, fucking giant, like, gorilla-like monster. And like, Gruntilda comes out, like, hot.
Oh, and, yeah, and then Mumbo Jumbo tries to woo her.
Like, horny for her. Like, yeah.
You know, let me see if they have. They gotta have the game over screen.
The game over screen. Just look.
Yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love the comment. It's like, oh God, Gruntilda is smoking. Good on you, in Booney Yukuso. I don't know. I don't know this person's name. Okay, here we go. Oh, now you can hear like how they sound. Oh, Klungo, that was his name.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here we go, bouncing up and down like the fly. Uh-oh.
Like, it even, like, changed her dress into, like, a mini dress. Like,
yeah, and it's, like, all leathery looking.
And she talks like she's having constant orgasms.
Yeah. Oh, God, here comes Mumbo! Like Kramer. Oh, my God. Come back to Mumbo's skull.
Yeah.
They're, like, not even trying to hide that, like, he just wants to get it on.
Yeah.
Oh, God, and here's poor Tootie.
Yeah, she's mad at Banjo, but you only get the game over screen if Banjo's dead, so, like,
yeah, you know, she can't do anything.
Right.
Alright. So in Banjo Tooie, things tend to happen again. According to Wikipedia, Gruntilda plans to trade in life energy, yada yada yada, Irish town, I don't know, try the veal. Saving the day once again, the Baron Bird caused the destruction of most of Gruntilda's skeletal body, leaving only her skull, which that does happen at the end.
Because I know I've seen clips of Nuts and Bolts, and Grunty in that is just the head.
Yeah, she becomes just the head.
And they, like, put her in, like a
robot space.
Yeah,
thing.
like almost like a Futurama kind of, like, just head in the jar kind of thing or something.
Yeah, she kind of looks like the robot from It's kind of like if you put, like, if you kind of put a jar with a head in it on top of the robot from Lost in Space. That's kind of what she looks like.
Yeah.
Except she doesn't say danger, Will Robinson. But Banjo Tooie, the boss battles, I think, were a lot more, they were a lot tougher. Banjo Kazooie, the boss battles were okay. Banjo Tooie, apparently, like, the game is controversial for being significantly harder than the first game, which is some of it is, but I wouldn't say all of it. I would say the final boss fight in Banjo Kazooie is much harder than The final boss fight in Banjo Tooie.
I think the sequel is always usually a little harder than the original game.
I mean, it probably should be. I think that should be like a good rule of thumb. Not obnoxiously harder, but like it should be harder.
Ripto's Rage is harder than the first Spyro the Dragon game.
You know, I never played Ripto's Rage. I think I played I played a little bit of the first one. I played the third one.
Yeah, Ripto's Rage is my favorite one. I mean, they're all great. They're all the Spyro trilogy was amazing, but Ripto's Rage is definitely probably the best one.
Yeah, and I think Crash Bandicoot 2 is harder than Crash Bandicoot 1.
No, that's an exception.
I don't know.
2 is a little bit easier.
I don't know because I've been playing
Crash 1 is hard.
Yeah, well, I've been playing it on like on the Switch, and like there's a problem with like the way that they redesigned it, where like he slips on things. Yeah. So like they did something wrong.
The collision is too precise in the remake, so it's like the bad graphics of the original like somehow made it easier because like you could you didn't land square on a platform, it was okay. Like you had like a little bit of like overreach where if like only like the heel of your foot was on it, you still lived. But in the remake, because the graphics are like much better, so I guess the angles are sharper and stuff, and like you'll fall over the stupidest thing.
I think it's because in the original for the collision, like he was designed as a to have like cube feet.
Yeah.
Where like in the remake, his feet are like on the collision detection, he's more of like a what do you call it feature? It's more like a cone.
Yeah.
So like it's more rounded. So like you have to be on.
There's less surface area. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be on point and like be right on the button every single time. Otherwise, even if you're like there, if you're off by a hair, he just slips and dies. Yeah. So I've rage quit that too many times where like I'm no longer playing that game.
Yeah. I think that's one thing they did good with. I mean, the Spyro, it's a little bit of that because obviously, better graphics means better collision, and well, a better gameplay in general means better collision because collision has come so far, since the 90s, The 90s, It was just like a bunch of big giant blocks around your character, so the collision was gigantic, You look at like the old school Counter-Strike game, how the collision was versus like CS:GO, and like the difference is like it's like huge. Like so, same thing with the newer games with the remakes. But Banjo Kazooie, I think had great really good game feel. Like the collision was really good.
The controls are tighter in that game.
They were definitely really tight.
I remember the camera was it was a little off on the first one sometimes, but in the second one, I think they fixed the camera up a bit.
Yeah, and that was still a time where camera physics were still a hard thing. There was no standard. Everyone was still experimenting with camera physics. Yeah, some were new.
Yeah, some were great and some were terrible, and you kind of just got what you got, and we did, and we liked it.
Yeah, that's what we dealt with. There were some games that had, you look at a game like Bubsy 3D, those camera physics are the worst, which is crazy to me that came out, because that came out right before Super Mario 64. But Super Mario 64 came out a month after that, so they were both in development at the same time. And it's like a world apart of camera physics. But again, Banjo Kazooie, Tooie, great camera physics for the most part, especially for the time period when, again, it was the Wild West for camera control, basically.
For sure, and I think I like Banjo Kazooie better than Tooie for a variety of reasons. But I will say that Banjo Tooie is it's they definitely refined a lot of the controls and the graphics and the engine for Banjo Kazooie. So as a game by itself, Banjo Tooie I think is superior. In playability, but I think Banjo Kazooie just overall is just the better game because there's just more that I enjoyed from it. I just overall just like Banjo Kazooie better. I don't know if it's the music that's just better. Oh, that like it just resonates better for me for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, and Bottles dies in Banjo Tooie. Spoiler. Yeah, she like lightning strikes him, or she like blows him up like in the very beginning. He like dies immediately. And he's like a ghost, and then like the guy his like ghost is just there, and you can like talk to his like soul. He has like again cartoony, and he has like angel wings, and he's playing like a little harp.
I mean, rare games are like, I mean, look at Donkey Kong 64. I'm pretty sure the grandma from Donkey Kong Country.
Oh yeah, she's a ghost. Yeah, she's a ghost.
So they kind of they deal with death in a like a very like, you know, okay for kids way. Like, you know, like people just become a cartoony ghost. So it's not like they're like, you know, it's an interesting way to do it.
Well, I mean, they just Casperize them. If you Casperize them, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're not scary ghosts. They're still like friendly, and they're just talking to you, and they're just a ghost. So
yeah, and every once in a while you get Jasper, a douchebag ghost. Have you ever seen that, the Robot Chicken thing with Jasper the douchebag ghost?
I think so. Yeah.
All right, it's a hoot.
Robot Chicken's a classic. That's another Why Does This Exist? But a good Why Does This Exist?
Yeah, like, just that whole Stupid Buddy Studios. Just, like everything they do is pretty funny, and like actually they came out with something last year called Crossing Swords that's hilarious.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's on Hulu. It's so funny. Oh, really? It's so funny. Yeah. So we have Banjo Tooie here, Banjo Kazooie, and we also get another animal changer shaman person in Banjo Tooie called Humba Wumba.
Mm-hmm.
She's like a Pocahontas kind of girl, and like Mumbo's kind of like got a thing for her because Mumbo is, you know, Mr. Ladies Man. Mumbo's a player, man.
Mumbo is a player.
He's.
I mean, he friggin' just abandons like, you know, Banjo and Tootie to like go out with Gruntilda when she's hot. So.
Yeah.
So he's really kind of a douche because he doesn't pursue Gruntilda until she's hot, you know.
Well, yeah, of course it was the '90s. He's a stereotypical douchebag '90s guy.
He's the George Costanza of Banjo Kazooie, because like, you know how George Costanza's like going out with that chick who needs a nose job, and then when she gets a botched nose job, he breaks up with her, and then like she gets it fixed and she's hot and she goes out with Kramer instead.
Yeah,
like it's a perfect example.
Yeah. That's Mumbo. He's a ladies' man.
Yeah.
Voodoo ladies' man.
Oh, and then so Banjo Tooie.
Dr. Love.